Can we say advices, feedbacks, softwares? The answer may surprise you. By the end of the lesson, you will have learned how to use common words like these correctly. Hello and welcome everyone, this is Minoo at Anglo-Link. Remember that there are lots of free exercises for you to enjoy on my online course. You can access them by creating a free account on my website anglolink.com. The link to set up your account is in the description box. Okay, let's start by reminding ourselves what the difference is between a countable noun and an uncountable noun. A countable noun is, believe it or not, a noun you can count. For example, take the word fact. You can say a fact and two facts. So obviously, an uncountable noun is a noun you cannot count. For example, take the word information. It is similar to fact, but for some reason, information is uncountable. Don't ask me why. English is not a logical language. So you cannot say an information or two informations. If you want to count these words, you have to pair them with a countable noun. A very common word is piece. For example, you can say a piece of information or two pieces of information. Unfortunately, there is no logic or rule that can help you to know if a word is countable or uncountable. The only way to learn these is practice. So I've put a little quiz together to help you practice some of these words. I've chosen 10 words and I'm going to give you 3 seconds to decide whether each word is countable or uncountable. So when you're ready, let's begin our quiz with the first word, which is suggestion. Is that countable or uncountable? It's countable. So you can say a suggestion and you can say suggestions. For example, that's a great suggestion. Or, can I make a few suggestions? The next word is advice. Is it countable or uncountable? Advice is uncountable. Therefore, you cannot say an advice or advices. You have to use it as a collective noun. For example, she needed some advice. Now, if you want to count advice, you need to pair it with a word that is countable. A very common word in this situation is piece. For example, you can say, he gave me a good piece of advice. Or, I have 2 pieces of advice for you. Okay, the next word is feedback. Is it countable or uncountable? What do you think? It is uncountable. Many of you think that feedback is countable, but it isn't. Be careful. You cannot say a feedback or feedbacks. We always use this as a collective noun. And we don't even have another word, a countable word, that can pair up with it. So just use it on its own. You can say, let me give you some feedback, or thank you for your valuable feedback. Okay, the next word is news. Is it countable or uncountable? News is uncountable. You cannot say a news. So don't say that's a great news. Just say that's great news. You can pair news up with piece. You can say that's a great piece of news. Now, be careful that when we talk about news on the media, like on television or in the newspaper, we don't say piece, we use the word item, an item of news, or a news item. The next word is series. That's a tricky one. Do you think it's countable or uncountable? It's actually both. You can put a with it, say a series, but you can't make it plural. You can't say series. So the word series is both singular and plural. You can say this is an interesting series, or there are very few good series on television. Okay, let's look at coffee and tea. Are they countable or uncountable? They're both as well. Let's look at them in their uncountable form. In general, you would say, I like black coffee, or green tea is my favorite drink. But they can also be countable when you go to order some. Most people, instead of saying, I'd like a cup of black coffee, please, just say, I'd like a black coffee, please. Or, instead of saying, could we have 2 cups of green tea, please? They just say, we'll have 2 green teas, please. So they can be countable or uncountable. Right, let's look at software and hardware. What do you think? Are they countable or uncountable? They're definitely uncountable. Avoid saying a software or softwares. You may hear that, but it's not correct. Use them as collective nouns. For example, we need new software. Or you can pair them up with countable words, like we need a new software package. Or use the word piece again. You can pair these 2 words up with piece. For example, these are great pieces of hardware. Okay, number 8 is equipment. Countable or uncountable? Equipment is also uncountable. So avoid saying an equipment or equipments. Use it in general. This is very old equipment. Or pair it up with piece. For example, this printer is a very old piece of equipment. Right, the next word is research. Countable or uncountable? It can be both. In British English, interestingly, it can be countable, researchers. But it sounds so much like researchers, which is the people who do research, that I would recommend you avoid using it as a countable noun. Use it as an uncountable noun. You can pair it up with piece, a piece of research, or you can say a research paper, or you use the synonym, a study. And finally, our last word is knowledge. Is it countable or uncountable? That's a tricky one as well. It can be both. It can be countable or uncountable. Now, generally, we never say a knowledge or knowledges. So we use the expression, for example, to my knowledge. But with an adjective, it suddenly becomes countable. So you would say, I have a basic knowledge of German, or she has a good knowledge of history. Right, that's all for today. You'll find lots more tips on correct language usage in this playlist. And remember to check my online course at Anglo-Link.com for lots more free lessons and exercises. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks a lot for joining me today, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.